What keeps you motivated to stream every day? That's it.
No payment required.
That's it. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So I kind of just like set either little goals or major goals, and I work towards accomplishing them over time. Yeah, small goals and big goals is the key. Like, because you have the small ones that like kind of keep you going daily. You know, they're easy. You can keep checking them off as you go. And the big ones are like the big dopamine hits, you know, where you're like, yeah, I hit this thing that I've been trying for forever. Like, small goal exam, big goal equals degree. All right, I have a confession for you. I have the biggest case of imposter syndrome from graduating. It's not even funny. The amount of times I wake up in the morning and go, I never finished college. I go, yes, I did. It's not even fucking funny at this point. Okay, this doesn't happen anymore. But for a while, I used to wake up and be like, yo, fuck. I forgot I had a paper that was due for this class that I never handed in. I took the class like my sophomore year of college. I'm like, and then I'm like, did I get away with not handing it in, or did I actually do it? Or did it not exist? And my brain just goes into spin mode where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm not actually in college. I graduated already. It doesn't feel like it. And I think it's partly because graduating was such a like low achievement. Like I did not give a fuck, right? Like this is gonna sound so terrible, like so terrible, but like realistically, I put effort in college in 1 year. And then after that, I was just kind of done with it. I was like, dude, like, I don't get things, like, I'm taking, like, fucking trigonomics of math and shit, and like, fucking trying to figure out how a triangle could help launch you to the moon. And I'm like, that's not what my degree is about. It's boring. Gotcha. And then when I had classes for my actual degree, dude, I would smoke them. I literally would fall asleep in class and just get nothing but A's. But then I wouldn't want to do the homework because the homework was fucking like repetitive as shit. Or like the group projects, right? Like the group projects I actually thought were fun, but I'd always get absolute trash teammates. And they were just fucking shit. I had one project where I had good teammates and it was a blast. This actually was terrible. I got put in a group. They were all four of them were foreign exchange students from India, which was fine, you know what I mean? Jack, thanks for the fresh tier one, appreciate it, dude. But I don't even know how to describe this to you. They wouldn't talk to me. Like when we had like group meetings, like so we had like so sometimes we had meetings like in class, right? Like we're like our class was like, okay, we're given this problem, right? We sometimes got like given these problems and like our class time was to figure it out. And by the end, like we had to like talk about what our answer was, right? Or like give our answer. And they would always speak Hindu to each other. And I'm talking like we're trying to solve this problem. And they would just talk to each other in Hindu. And they spoke very perfect English. And I was like, I'm on fire. I'm not joking. Like we're trying to figure this out together. And they wouldn't, I couldn't understand them. And I felt so bad because I was like, fuck, like, what do I say to this? You know? Like I couldn't contribute. I couldn't say anything. I was like, and so, like, it was so awkward. I was like, dude, because, like, they were talking about stuff, and I was like, you know, like, kind of trying to, like, figure stuff out, you know what I mean, like, with them, and, like, they were, like, debating something we were talking about, and I was like, so I started talking about what I thought it was, and they all looked at me and, like, nodded their heads, and they're like, that's a good answer, yeah, and then went back to talking what they were talking about. Okay, to this day, it still kind of keeps me up a little bit. I wonder if I just fucking tuned in at the perfect moment, or they were all just trying to be kind and be like, shut the fuck up. I think it's more of like the second one, but I think I'm like, how well it flowed into their story. They're like, yeah, and then they just kept going. I was like, either that perfectly fit into what they were doing, or they just did not give a fuck. And I was like, all right, you know what, whatever. They did all the fucking work. I literally got hard carried, but like, it didn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like, it was awful. I actually felt like I actually hated the hard carry. Like, they literally just knew everything. But then, like, it came down to, like, the end of the year, and we had, like, this big final project, and there was something they couldn't figure out, and I had the fucking answer, but they didn't ask me because I couldn't be a part of the conversation. So like, we were literally in the middle of our like final presentation and we got this question, right? Or not like final presentation. To be honest with you, like we didn't have like a big stand at the front. Like we all sat at our desks and shit and just like talked about it out loud. Because like we had basically all been working on the same project for most of the year. And the guy asked us this question and like my group just was like, yeah, we weren't really able to figure this one out too well. And I literally just was like, wait, what? Like, I was like, you guys didn't know? Like, I was like, Nate was looking at stuff. I was like, I knew. I was like, actually, I have a decent idea. And I answered it. And he was like, yes, that's actually exactly what I was looking for. And they all looked at me and were like, oh, very good. Thank you. Good job. Good job. And I was like, guys, why did you, why? I could have been helping you this whole fucking time. Like, it was one of the few times that like I just genuinely just didn't care anymore. Like, and that's kind of like what my rest of my college experience was. I didn't give a fuck. Like nothing was really exciting to me. So I think that's why I don't really, you know, I don't really look back at college and be like, oh, I missed that, or oh, I had this big accomplishment. I didn't even go to my graduation. I didn't even go. You know what I did? I was with the Uprising at that time. I was in LAX. Eating a $25 breakfast that was disgusting because LAX food is stupid expensive. Getting ready to fly home. And I got a little notification on my phone reminding me to tell my grandma to watch the live stream of the graduation. And guess what? I was like, what? Oh yeah, I graduated today. Because I graduated in December, but there was no graduation ceremony. It would only happen in the spring. So I watched part of my own graduation sitting in LAX. I wasn't even there. I failed like 4 classes in the 3.3 somehow. Don't worry about failing. Oh, my freshman year of high school, I failed. I know I at least failed 1. Maybe I failed 2. I'm not joking. Like I'm like 95% convinced I got failed because she was looking for extra summer work and I was one of the not as liked kids and there wasn't anybody to contradict her ruling. It was web design. I failed fucking web design, which is an elective you're forced to take. And I'm like, dude, like, what? So the school said to me that I had to make it up with her. And she was gonna charge my mom like, I think it was like $2,300 for like 10 hours of tutoring. And I was like, that is literally trash. I was like, you are literally like scapegoating at this point. You know what we did? Went to another school. That was another private school that had it available. We paid $150 for the summer class. Told them to fuck off. And then you know what the best part was? My mom made her put together the whole curriculum. And then right when she was gonna, like, she was ready to make the agreement. Nah, sorry, found someone else. Did it to her on purpose. She was like, no, you can't back out. No, I already put the whole thing together. She's like, I don't care. You're literally trying to rip us off. Like, go fuck yourself. Do you have any relationship advice? Why are you asking me? I am not the person to ask, I don't think. Can you please find someone we have a stream, Mom? Jesus Christ. Listen. I probably, if I'm gonna be real, I think if I ever did start dating someone, I probably wouldn't tell anybody Streamwise for a long time. Now, hey, whoa, before anything, still, it's not a thing right now, okay? Let's put that out there. But I probably wouldn't tell anybody for a long time, just because, not because I don't want to, but because, like, I don't want to do that to them, you know? The amount of people that, like, hardcore hunt, you know, like, streamers' significant others is insane, right? Like, it is fucking scary sometimes. Imagine, like, you meet someone, right? Imagine you meet someone normally, right? Like, you went to some fucking book fair, right? And, like, you fucking touched a book and they touched the same book and all of a sudden it's a fucking slice of life, right? That person works as, like, a secretary at, you know, the local dentist or something. They're not used to, you know, they have, like, I don't know, like, fucking 700 followers on Instagram because, like, they're cute and they were kind of, you know, people liked them in high school, but now they just kind of, like, do their own thing, you know? Introduce that to a stream world, a YouTube world, etc. You have a lot of curious people. A lot of curious people. And when a lot of curious people start, it can snowball in a really bad way really fast, right? Because people get entrenched and they want to know everything. And, like, you know, they want to know, like, you know, what are they like? You know, what kind of person are they? You know, what is their relationship like, right? And it can be like kind of invasive to that other person, you know? It's like people who maybe don't really work in the space aren't gonna know how to react right away. So I think it would be something that has to like slowly happen, you know? Like you kind of have to like slowly show them like the goods and bads of it, because that shock can be pretty strong. And if something ever does happen, you know, and it doesn't work out, that can go really, really bad. Bullseye. You know, you actually end up getting this crazy shit that happens after. It's like, there's actually two different groups. There's groups of people that now hate them because they wronged their, you know, their streamer and their person that they like a lot, and they're like, oh my god, like, how could you do to this amazing person and not, you know, blah, 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 right? But then there's the other end. And I think this is almost the scarier end, which is now that person that you saw, a person that you either liked, disliked, idled, and I use the word idled loosely here, all of a sudden is now single. They now see like an opportunity. You kind of see where it's going, right? There are so many scenarios that can play out that I just probably wouldn't be comfy like putting them even in that position unless they were fully ready, you know what I mean? In any way, shape, or form. It's the obsession, you know? The obsession, and it's like think about it this way, okay? Think about it this way. There can be boundaries in a relationship, right? Like, for example, and I'll give you a more broad one for people. There's people that don't like their significant other liking photos of like other people that are like more like suggestive or like where they look really good, right? Like, think about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not everyone is like that, but there are people that are like that, right? So I'm fine. I don't give a fuck if you do or not. And the person I am with also doesn't give a fuck, right? But what happens when a viewer or someone from the internet really takes notice to what that streamer does, right? That streamer does all the time. They notice that they always like, you know, someone's tweets or someone's photos or whatever, and they go through and they start screenshotting every time they like their photos or their Twitters, parasocial Andes, yeah. And then they end up DMing them one time or sending it or an email and be like, hey, I don't really know you that well, but I'm trying to look out for your best interests. You know, I noticed that your boyfriend likes always this person's tweets and always likes their selfies or whatever, and it's like, you know, at first you're like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about that type of shit. It's not a big deal. But over time, and people keep doing it, or people keep doing those types of things, it's very hard for it not to become damaging, you know? And you have these outside parasocial Andes that are kind of like sabotaging your relationship, you know? I would probably tell them I wouldn't want to say anything for a long time, unless they are completely okay with it. And even at that point, I'd still make them probably wait a little while. What started this conversation? That's a great question. What did start this conversation? Chat mommy. Yes, it was the chat mommy question. When are we having a chat mommy? Oh, no, it was relationship advice. It was relationship advice. That's what it was. It was relationship advice. And I was laughing about, like, I think I'm the wrong person to ask.